They say you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Or you start out as a villain and keep on being a villain. That's the third option, very popular. Sadly, option 2 seems to have lots of appeal for video game protagonists because we're always having to go toe-to-toe with the former heroes who we played as in previous games. It's the ultimate betrayal. Here are a bunch of times when we had to do just that. Enjoy and watch out for spoilers for the following games.
Hey! You get the hell away from my bike!
Whoa, chill, okay? Sorry. Didn't know it was yours.
Chuck Greene was the hero of Dead Rising 2. You can tell because of all the heroic stuff he was always doing.
I'm a big boy now.
Not all heroes wear clothes. Whatever Chuck was getting up to in Dead Rising 2, it was all in service of keeping himself and his daughter Katey alive. This was easier said than done, not only because of the hordes of ravenous undead and psychopathic mailmen that populate Fortune City, but also because Katey was infected with the zombifying virus and needed a dose of anti-zombie drug Zombrex every 24 hours, or she'd turn into a zombie, Chuck would be sad, and the game would end.
Katey? Katey.
Follow-up game Dead Rising 2 Off the Record reworks Dead Rising 2 with Frank West of Dead Rising 1 as the hero instead of Chuck. It imagines how Chuck would deal with that game over you got if you failed to get Katey her Zombrex in time. Spoiler alert, the answer is not well.
Hey, sorry, buddy. I thought you were one of those crazies. I just can't trust people anymore. I've been dealing with nut bars all day long.
Yes, Chuck is now a wild-eyed nut bar in desperate need of both a haircut and to stop carrying around a creepy doll version of his dead daughter. Possibly not in that order.
Let's get you and your daughter back to the safe house so that...
Get the hell away from her. Ooh, crap. You're just one of those nut bars. You just want to hurt her. Keep her from getting her Zombrex.
Frank's attempts to reason with Chuck don't go super well, and you end up having to fight Chuck, no small ask, as he's equipped with his trademark slicycle, a motocross bike with twin chainsaws protruding from the handlebars. Eventually you'll defeat Chuck, at which point he'll die clutching the doll's head, and you'll say goodbye to a character with whom you spent countless hours in a moment that's as touching and poignant as Dead Rising ever gets.
Man, that guy was a few screws short of a workbench.
Genuinely as poignant as Dead Rising ever gets.
Wait for it.
You sure that was necessary?
It's Shanghai. Better safe than sorry. I'm JB. They didn't give me your names.
Salem.
Rios.
Co-op shooter series Army of Two aim to demonstrate that two heads are better than one, particularly if those heads are wearing spray-painted ballistic masks.
Right, let's get moving.
And the best thing is, they're always ready for a pickup game of street hockey. Throughout the first two games, Salem and Rios were inseparable, sometimes literally in the sequences where the game glued their spines together for a shootout. Pretty sure that just makes them a bigger target. And they're already pretty big targets. In the most heart-wrenching breakup since Zayn left One Direction, the sequel Army of Two: The 40th Day turned the pair on each other, with antagonist Jonah forcing them to choose between shooting each other or condemning 7 million citizens of Shanghai to death by nuclear destruction.
This is the detonator for a nuclear bomb, located in the heart of that city. I let go and 7 million people die.
I don't think he's actually holding the trigger down, but don't let that ruin an otherwise tense moral decision. You can of course just shoot Jonah, but based on the events of the next sequel, Army of Two: The Devil's Cartel, it seems the canonical ending is that Salem gets shot, because he's revealed to be the villain of the game, El Diablo, and is somehow still whining about what happened in Shanghai.
I laid down my life for you, because you wanted to save Shanghai.
I mean, I don't want to split hairs, but you look pretty alive to me. Unfortunately, Salem ends up shooting his old buddy Rios in the abdomen, cementing his status as a proper bad guy. There weren't even 7 million lives at stake this time. Still, all good things must come to an end, and ultimately Salem and Rios had to make way for Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel's new and equally memorable masked heroes, who were called Alpha and Bravo. Wow, did the writers have somewhere else to be?
Vito! Over here!
Joe!
Hey! Welcome home, buddy.
How'd you know?
I got my sources. Come on, let's take a ride.
Now you'd think that Vito Scaletta, the protagonist of Mafia 2, would get on famously with Lincoln Clay, the protagonist of Mafia 3. They're both former soldiers, having served in World War II and the Vietnam War respectively. They're both men of honour most of the time, and neither is afraid of getting their hands dirty all of the time.
I killed for my country. I killed for my family. I killed anybody that got in my way.
We got to know Vito as a young Bruce Wayne-looking mafia hopeful in the early 50s in Mafia 2, in which he was torn between loyalties to friends and the family.
Leo, listen.
You listen. If it wasn't for me, you would have already been taken care of. So you're gonna listen to what I have to say, and you're gonna listen good.
By the time Mafia 3 rolls around, though, it's the late 1960s, and Vito Scaletta has fallen from grace. He's living in exile in New Bordeaux, where he becomes one of your criminal underbosses, to whom you assign power and responsibility as you see fit.
Well, if you're vouching for him, Sal, that's good enough for me. Look, I got a couple things to take care of. Thanks for the drink.
Vito is one of your trusted lieutenants, or he would be trusted, except if you fail to grant him enough districts to run for you, he turns all salty and, more importantly, all murdery.
Don't matter, you shade. You're just another two-faced scumbag like everybody else, and I'm through with it.
If you're looking for words of advice from me, execute the motherfucker.
Well, I don't know. I was going to suggest we hug it out, but you're the boss.
No, you're the boss.
Oh, yeah. So it is that you have to hunt down and execute the former fresh-faced hero of Mafia 2, who has become a bitter and resentful would-be crime middle manager. Man, if I hadn't neglected your role in my crime empire, Vito, you might still be here today, instead of food for the New Bordeaux swamp gators, who I never neglect. What? Those guys you really want to keep on side?
Excelligione! Stop right there! Bravo!
Damn it, where's Jill?
Jill? Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I won't.
Resident Evil fans will remember Jill Valentine as the Master of Unlocking from the original Resident Evil.
Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the Master of Unlocking, take it with you.
Thanks. Maybe I'll need it.
And as the main playable character in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which, judging by Jill's get-up, took place on Casual Friday at the RCPD. She's a playable character in a whole bunch of Resident Evil games, which is why it's such a surprise when, in Resident Evil 5, pouty villain Excelligione's plague doctor-looking bodyguard, who's been kicking your ass all over the exquisite parquet flooring, turns out to be Jill herself. Oh hey, Jill! It's me, Chris! We were in SARS together? Remember when Barry said Jill sandwich? Good times. Well, that's just rude. It turns out that Jill is being mind-controlled by series mainstay Albert Wesker into doing his bidding. His bidding seems to be mostly wear a skin-tight catsuit and do backflips. This means you have to fight the newly formed tag team of Wesker and Jill, both of whom have been cheating by taking performance-enhancing viruses, which give them super speed, super strength, and apparently the kind of hair you'd see on a Slytherin house captain.
I'll take care of Jill. You handle Wesker.
Like all evil geniuses, however, Wesker's plan had one small flaw. The mind-controlling device he implanted in Jill took the form of a massive glowing weak spot. He's gonna kick himself when he realizes.
Let's finish this.
Or Jill will kick him. Look, someone will kick him, that's all that matters.
Over the course of the series, the hero of Saints Row has evolved from anonymous gangbanger to President of the United States of America.
What more fun as a gang leader?
We have a country to run. Fun isn't part of the equation.
Where's a septic truck when you need one?
And part-time nightmare clown if it's us playing. During the Saints Row 4 mission, A Game of Clones, the simulation is being flooded with gang members from previous games in the series, including the Ronin from Saints Row 2 and the Vice Kings from the first game. The biggest surprise is saved for the end of the mission though.
The hell is that?
Yes, it's the default player character from Saints Row 1. But remember, this was back when the series was a slightly more po-faced attempt to cash in on GTA's success, and as a result, he's an anonymous-looking dude wearing a boring black t-shirt and jeans. He's not even wearing clown makeup. What is this, amateur hour? Rather than fighting alongside you as you might have expected though, your former self has become a bad guy. Worse, he's a super-powered bad guy. Defeat him and you're faced with the default character from Saints Row 2. Only for some reason there are two of them.
Why are there two of me now?
Shit, it's the co-op player.
That sound you just heard was the fourth wall detonating. Toss those two back into the vortex as well and you're free to return to your other presidential business.
Woohoo! 2 points!
Or your nightmare clown business. Hey, those birthday parties aren't going to ruin themselves.
Revan has a fleet of warships on standby.
Revan? But he was killed.
The centuries-long character arc of one-time Sith Lord Revan is less of an arc and more of a roller coaster, in that he or she zigzags between the dark side and the light side faster than Yoda flips around in that one lightsaber duel that time.
We will stop Revan. We have to.
In Revan's first game, Knights of the Old Republic, Revan is the player character. You gradually learn that you're playing an amnesiac former Jedi war hero turned Sith baddie who has been manipulated by the Jedi Council in the hopes of eliminating other, less forgetful baddies.
The Jedi strike team captured you, and the Council used the Force to reprogram your mind. They wiped away your identity and turned you against your own followers.
And if you play the way we do, your Revan eventually learns the way of the light side, because we're ultimately proper goody-goodies when it comes to a BioWare RPG. What? Carth isn't going to make out with me if I genocide the galaxy, is he? Anywho, if you thought Revan's tale ended with him or her retiring to live happily ever after in a little cottage on the moral high ground, you'd be wronger than what a Sarlacc looks like underground. It turns out that after the events of that game, Revan was captured and held in stasis by the Emperor for more than 300 years, only to be revived as a non-player character during the events of MMORPG Star Wars The Old Republic.
I spent 300 years in lockstep with the Emperor's mind. I know what he's become, what he wants.
It's at that point, having endured centuries of mental torture, Revan sets out to destroy the Empire in his own special way, which is to commandeer a giant space station and manufacture an army of droids, which will exterminate any target with Sith DNA.
Revan wants to reshape the galaxy, to save it.
This all looks good on paper, but actually designates not only Dark Lords of the Sith as targets for assassination, but also most other ordinary people as well. Which, however way you want to cut it, does make Revan a teensy little bit of a kill-crazy robot army-having villain.
There's no cost too great. If I have to snuff out every life on this world by hand to draw the Emperor out, then so be it!
Is it too late to try another bout of amnesia on this guy? Can we turn him off and on again?
Don't worry. If Jack really wanted to protect the vault key, it wouldn't be on a train. He'd have Wilhelm guarding it. Oh dear.
Borderlands, the pre-sequel, gets its somewhat confusing name from the fact it's set between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 and gives us a glimpse into the pre-Borderlands 2 lives of some of our favourite characters, and also Claptrap.
Because my programming forbids me from doing otherwise.
In it, you play as one of several characters who gave you a hard time in the Borderlands games, but none of them has gone through quite so severe a transformation as Wilhelm, the gruff, lovable enforcer.
Wilhelm here. Tell me what to shoot and how much I'm getting paid.
Or, okay, maybe just gruff. The pre-sequel lets us see how the characters change based on their experiences. Handsome Jack, for example, starts out as someone who could broadly be described as a hero with good intentions before becoming the cruel tyrant we know him as in Borderlands 2.
Someone's got to stay back and launch the pods manually. I'd suggest Athena, but I need you on Elpis. You're the only person that I can trust to save the space station.
Roger. I'll find a way to save Helios. You won't have died in vain. If you die.
Similarly, playing as Wilhelm in the pre-sequel introduces us to his character, a no-nonsense mercenary who gets the job done and has a fondness for cybernetic implants.
All systems are a go!
Which was jarring for anyone who had played Borderlands 2 and remembers him as, well, as a mass murderer who is essentially a human head perched on top of a Hyperion autoloader.
Kid, Wilhelm nearly killed us all in New Haven without taking a scratch. If things get bad, just run.
Of course, the signs were there from the start. The short, robotic answers, the Cyber Commando skill tree, the bit where he said, "I'm really good at killing people, I want to be a robot."
I'm really good at killing people. I want to be a robot.
In retrospect, that was probably the biggest clue.
You killed Wilhelm. Holy hell, Jack doesn't stand a chance.
Wow, what a bunch of bad villains those guys turned out to be. They always disappoint you, don't they? In the end, they always let you down. Let me not let you down, segue, there, by providing you with another Outside Xbox video. This is a good one. This is about video game nobodies whose lives were actually ruined by heroes, accidentally, inadvertently. I'm sure they didn't mean to do it. Or how about this video from our sister channel Outside Extra, which is about a bunch of video game heroes who never escaped the 90s. They're trapped there forever in that decade. Enjoy.